Alright, salve te discipuli. Today we're going to talk about the perfect and pluperfect passive subjunctive. Just a couple reminders as you're doing this. Make sure you have your Clavis out with you and you are filling it along as you go. And remember, if you have any questions, please write them down on a separate sheet of paper or in the margins or somewhere so that tomorrow when we come to class you can get those questions answered. The way tomorrow will work is you're going to come into class and you're not going to get a presentation of the material because it is assumed that you will be doing this tonight at home. So we are going to go straight into activities and practicing application. So please make sure that you've watched this video and that you have your Clavis filled in and that you feel like you have at least a good idea of how the material is supposed to work, and we will work with it in class tomorrow. So let's start with the perfect passive. So we are perfect passive subjunctive, and it's much like the perfect passive indicative. You're going to form it by taking the fourth principal part, and then you are going to add the present subjunctive forms of sum to that fourth principal part. Now, since we're dealing with the fourth principal part, you have to remember that we will have to account for gender. So since it has an us ending on it, just remember as we go through, I'm going to change up the gender on you so that you can see all three genders working. We're going to start with masculine though, but before we even do that, your present subjunctive forms of sum are as follows: sim, sis, sit, simus, situs, sint. You should already know these forms, however, this is just another reason to be remembering them. So please take a moment, write those in. All right, say it with me: sim, sis, sit, simus, situs, sint. All right, so now let's make it the full perfect passive subjunctive. So we're using amo, amare. Take the fourth principal part, amatus, and then for the singular, it's amatus. When you go plural, you change the us to an I, so amati, and then it's just those extra forms of sum that are attached. So amatus sim, amatus sis, amatus sit, amatisimus, amatisitus, amatisint. And these are two separate words. Do not attach them. Two separate words. So I hope this makes sense. Again, since this is subjunctive, there's no set translation. It will be reliant upon the sequence of tenses. So I would love it if you would give it a try. So you have oro or rare, and I'm asking for it in the feminine form. Please conjugate it, and then when you are pause it, and then conjugate it, and when you are ready to see the answers, click play again. The answers are orata sim, orata sis, orata sit, oratisimus, oratisitus, oratisint. We went feminine in this occasion, so that's why it's orata in the singular and oratai in the plural. So the next one is plakeo, plakere. Pause this, give that one a try, and then click back when you're ready to see the answer. Answer is placitum sim, placitum sis, placitum sit, placitasimus, placitasitus, placitasint. This one I was asking for neuter, which is why it's in the singular and a in the plural. So go ahead and pause this, and then you're trying defendere next in the masculine. Answer for defendere is defensus sim, defensus sit, sis, defensus sit, defensisimus, defensisitus, defensisint. So last one, recipio, recipere. Pause this and give that one a try. Answers are receptus sim, receptus sis, receptus sit, receptisimus, receptisitus, receptisint. All right, please make sure that you have all four of these forms filled in. If you have any questions, please make sure you've written them down. Next up is the pluperfect passive. So Pluperfect passive, again, like the perfect passive, it's going to be the same, or well, similar, in the indicative as well as in the subjunctive. So today is all about the subjunctive. So you're still taking that fourth principle part, and you're adding now imperfect subjunctive forms of sum instead of the present subjunctive forms of sum. Crazy idea, I know. Again, it's the fourth principle part, so please remember to account for gender. So those imperfect forms of sum in the subjunctive, it forms like regular subjunctives in the imperfect. So it's just your infinitive plus MST, must, tis, nt. So those forms of sum are essem, esses, esset, essemus, essetis, essent. Please write those in. All right, say them with me. Essem, esses, esset, essemus, essetis, essent. So we're going to use our good friend amo, amare again. So when you attach it, we're making it masculine. So amatus, essem, amatus, esses, amatus, esset. Amati, essemus, amati, essetis, amati, essent. So again, two separate words, still accounting for gender. Now you're just using the imperfect form of sum in the subjunctive instead of the present form of sum in the subjunctive. So write down any questions that you might have, and then we're off to try some new ones. So you're going to use oro or rare again in the feminine. So click back here when you've done these and you want to check. So answers for oro or rare are errata essem, errata esses, errata esset, errata essemus, errata essetis, errata essent. Again, this was feminine, so the A's in the singular, AE in the plural. Click back when you're ready for the answers to placitum. Answers to placitum are placitum essem, placitum esses, placitum esset, placita essemus, placita essetis, placita essent. Click back when you're ready for defendere. Answers for defendere are defensus essem, defensus esses, defensus esset, defensi essemus, defensi essetis, defensi essent. This one was masculine. Click back when you're ready for recipio recipere. Answers are recepta essem, recepta esses, recepta esset, receptae essemus, receptae essetis, receptae essent. So that basically concludes the perfect and pluperfect passive subjunctives. So these again are going to be used for indirect questions, and you're going to be using the sequence of tenses to determine how they're translated. So there's not a set translation. That's where the sequence of tenses comes in. If you have any questions, please make sure that you've written them down. If you need to watch this again, please feel free to do so. And we will talk about this first thing tomorrow when you're back in class. So make sure your Clavis is filled out and make sure any questions are written down. All right, have a good rest of your evening, Discipuli. See you tomorrow. Walete.